welcome, family, beautiful people. Welcome to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about our experience of purchasing a property or in Zimbabwe while living abroad. Is not an easy task. So if you are considering purchasing a property while you're living abroad, don't worry, I'm going to try and cover as much detail and as much as I can, and give you the step-by-step guide that we took to where we are today, and hopefully you'll be able to make an informed decision from afar. So first thing is first, before you do anything, it is crucial to do a market research. Familiarize yourself with the regulations, with the real estate agency, with who is genuine, who is not, which is a very difficult task. So in this then video, I'm just going to talk about the experience that we did. There is a lot of things where you would think, I could do this, I could do this, I can do this, but everything in Zimbabwe at the moment doesn't go according to what you might plan or according to how it should do. So the best way is to make sure that you protect yourself, to make sure to avoid any scams, right? So let's then dive into it. But before we do that, I just want to thank you for tuning in if you are a returning subscriber, and I want to thank you if you're new to this channel. Welcome to my Rose at Home. And those who are watching, we haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified and we can grow a larger community on this channel. So thank you, everybody. So let's dive into it. Right. So the first thing, a crucial thing when you are about to purchase a property or to do any business dealings or anything, it is to do a market research. So we purchased our property. My husband had to travel to Zimbabwe to have a look at several properties. But before we did that, we had to use a different website, which I'm just going to be writing and putting the links on the screen to show you which website we looked at, because obviously we were aware that purchasing a property in Zimbabwe is not going to be an easy task. And the one thing that I found that helped a lot, I know especially if you're living abroad, it's good for those who are living in Zimbabwe because it's easy to travel to go and see. But if you are living abroad, my advice, my biggest advice is, it's better to save money and time to go and see yourself. Because sometimes you might think it is expensive to go to Zimbabwe, especially if you're living abroad. And like in the UK, the tickets have tripled and tripled and tripled, which is going to be expensive. But I would say it is better for you to travel to Zim, to go and have a look because of the quality. Whatever the photos you see being advertised online, they are not the real deal on some of the websites. And the difficult part as well is some of the estate agents will be selling properties that are not legit, because when you go, you start doing the checks, you'll find that this property is got it can be sold for some various reasons. So I would say you need to do your due diligence. So what we did then, we started by looking online on different websites while we are still in the UK, and our plan was to actually buy a house that's fully finished so that we didn't have to embark on any building works. But we had to compromise, and I will explain why as we go further in the video. So after we looked at several properties, we contacted a few estate agencies to find out about the property. Is the property got title deeds? Is the property got who is the owner, and all that information? And one thing that started confusing me when we were looking, it was the cession. You would find some of the properties were saying cession title deeds, cession deeds available, and I'm going to be covering that in a different video, or if I don't cover it in this video, it will come, because our actual property, we purchased it under the cession title deeds, and the process is so much, it's just a little bit longer than if you're actually purchasing from somebody who's got title deeds, but it can be as smooth as it can be. So after we viewed, then we decided that my husband was going to travel, and he traveled in November of 2022 because he viewed a lot of properties, and most of them we are finding them from the estate agents online, and some of them were very good, and some of them, I remember there was, after you finished viewing all the ones that we had listed, while I was here in the UK, I continued searching, because you know in Zimbabwe the internet can be a bit of challenging for you to be able to find the things that you need. So what I did then, I continued looking at the property, and there was this one property that I really liked. And what happened, I sent my husband, and you know, if you see the videos when he was on site of that property with the videos that was online, it was like two complete different properties. The house that we are building now, he managed to find the person was selling, but he was in estate agents as well, so he was advertising one of his properties. So then he went and viewed the property, but then because we had to change the plans because we couldn't find anything that we really liked and that was within our budget. So we then just sort of said, okay, worst case scenario, if by the time our money is released, then we can come and purchase this property, which is the one that we are building now. And after we come back, then as soon as we had the money, we were so naive. We were so naive. You know, when you think, yes, I've got the money, my money is in the Nostra account, I can just go and find any property that I want. It doesn't work like that in Zimbabwe in the moment. And so when we were looking at the properties there, we were saying we've got cash, meaning we will just make the whole payment. So having cash and money in the bank in Zimbabwe is two different things. If you've got money in the bank, that you don't have money, because all the transactions, all the payments are done in cash. Obviously, because of the bank charges, people don't keep money in the bank at all. So while we were struggling to say, when every time we were sort of like bidding for a property, we would put we've got cash and it would be bank transfer, we got declined on all of them. It was because we hadn't researched much in that area, and it was one of the real estate agents who told us, if you've got Nostra account money in the bank to buy a property in Zimbabwe, you won't be able to. They need hard cash. They need the dollars, and you sit down and you count dollars, which to me was a risk. How can you carry even $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 to go and purchase a property? To me, it was very risky, and there's also restrictions. That was another challenge that we found. There's also restrictions of how much you can withdraw from an account daily. There's a daily limit, and I'm thinking, with all these prices of this property, 1,000 daily limit, how many days do you need to be in Zimbabwe to actually withdraw money? And how can you stay with money in the house if you're not used to? So then after we did that, after the money was out, then we went, me and my husband, we then traveled to Zimbabwe, which was a video in April of 2023. And then we went, that property that my husband had seen, the one that we've got now, was still available on the market. For some reasons, we don't know why. And then we rang the person, told them, yes, yeah, we are here, we now want to go ahead. And then we went to his offices, had a meeting with him, and then that's when we then started looking. At this point, you could involve a lawyer to do all the searches and everything. But because of our past history, we decided to do that on our own. We thought it's better for us to take 2 flight tickets to Zimbabwe, because myself, I've got knowledge of how to purchase a property safely in Zimbabwe, and I'm going to do a video of get to know me on this video, because my father taught me quite a lot when I was still growing up. So he had told us, if you want to purchase the property, you can do it yourself, but these are the areas that you need to check. So the first then point, because it was just a building with a you saw how the video is, just a share advertised under the session title deeds, which means the title deeds are still under the developer who originally sold this land to this person. So this person didn't have title deeds in their name. So the first thing then, he agreed, he gave us all his details as it appeared on the agreement of sale when he purchased. the date he bought and all the particulars, ID, everything. And then we visited the developers because the developers were still on site. So we went to their offices, we looked at them, and then he sat down, explained to them that we are coming to purchase plot number such and such. And then I think they rang him just because obviously he had given us his personal information, which actually showed us the day that the paperwork that matches, he purchased this, he done that, this is where he is, yes, and applied for the title deeds, and we owe him so much amount of money, which was going to be part of his transactions for the title deeds. And then after we finished that, we were convinced that this person who is selling the stand, the property, is the actual person that's on the paper. We did not end there. Then we went to the city council. Yes, yeah, we went to the city council, and then we did our searches, but we didn't go. We went where the planning section is at the Harare townhouse near Market Square. So we visited there, wanting to check if the property is actually is genuine. Because if a property is genuine, you go to the city council, they will tell you that yes, this property you can build, this property is still under construction, or this property is not genuine. Because obviously once the developer starts building, this will be in the paperwork of the city council. So they looked into us and looked at the stand number and everything for us, and then they couldn't tell us because we were not the owners. But we thank God because we rang the person who was selling, and then he came in, we went together, and then they just looked into the paperwork. I think you pay a $10 fee for them to do the searches. So we paid the $10, they did the searches for us, but it's just only 2-minute search. And then they told us, yes, he was the genuine owner of the stand is legit. And then we went then back, so we've done 2 searches, and then we went to the Reds and offices, Rowan Martin House. That's where our property, where we pay the water bills, and then we checked to see how much if there was any amount owing, and we were told how much the amount was owing, and the receipt, everything confirmed that this person who is selling is the actual owner of the property. We did that, then we had to go back again to the office to sit down with the seller. And then because there is a cottage on the property and this building for the main house, I said, can we see the plans? Can we see the plans? So he showed us the plans, and then we were looking. It was confirming again. So you've got to check everything. So the plan was confirming the plot stand. It was confirming the square meters of the property. It was confirming, because when you're doing a plan, they've got to be a name of the person who it's got to match. And then everything was matching at the plan, and I went, your plans are not stamped. Have these plans been approved? And he went, oh yes, they've been approved. And I thought, no, they haven't, because from my knowledge, once a plan is approved, it gets a stamp. And they bought the cottage in this main house, there was no stamp. So I went, no, this plan hasn't been approved. And he went, no, they've been approved. I don't think I've got the copy. And at this point, the seller was not honest with us. And I thought, okay, everything on pause. We need to go back to the council to obtain, because he was saying he's left it at the council house, at the townhouse. That's where the original plans are. And I thought, if this plans hasn't been approved, because from my knowledge, when you are building, every stage at the back of the plan, the inspector is going to put their stamp on and then sign the date. Stamp on and sign the date. And then he had all the 3 copies. Because when a plan is being made, you get 3 copies. So he had all the 3 copies with him, but none of them was stamped. So we had to pause then, because we were just in the process of signing the agreement of sales. And I went, no, we are putting that on a pause. Then the following day, we went back again to the council house. And then because already they have been seen us the previous day, they are aware who we were. And then I did ask, and they said, no, this plans has not been approved. And to me, it hit me really hard. I'm thinking, right, if this plans hasn't been approved and there is a building there, how did the person build? And then luckily the person we saw, he was very, very helpful. He went, right, the plans were submitted on this date, and you looked onto the system for us, and it was rejected because the developer hadn't fulfilled the city council's obligations for them to approve the plans. So it was rejected. And then we went, so what happens now? Because there is a building, and they went, don't worry. There is now a process that they are using in Zimbabwe. He said, all you need to do is to ask the seller to come in. He's got to regularize the plan. So, years ago, you wouldn't build without a plan, but now in Zimbabwe, people are building without a plan, and then at whatever stage, then they can take the plan to the council to regularize that plan. So there will be a charge. You'll be charged to say you build the house without the plan being regularized, approved. So you pay a charge. So we did that with the seller. He came in at this stage, he paid, and we're given the receipt. Everything was done in our presence, and are still for the receipt now, so that I've attached to the plan to show that we've actually paid. And we paid in the city council. We're given a receipt, then we went to the offices to pay. At this stage, your mind will be racing and thinking, is this a legit sale, or we are going to be scammed? And at that point, we'd already exchanged contracts. And I'm thinking there's no reverse, because we've exchanged contracts, even though we haven't submitted the money yet. But we are now legally buying, we've signed, we've got to, what if this, what if that. So then what we then did, after he paid, then we had to go. There was a day where I spent the whole day in their offices, from one department to another, to have because he was busy. So what he did, he paid, left me with the receipt, and then he went back to work. And I had to spend that whole day in there. Remember, I was in there, and it was going to be Good Friday, so they were saying if it's not done today, it's not going to happen. And then I'm thinking next week we're going to be coming back, and I'm not going back until this is sorted. So then I'll spend the day in there, and the plan was regularized. It had all the stamps, and I was smiling as they were stamping on the plan. You could have seen my smile, and I said, God, thank you for this. So after we finished, we paid him, and then the property was now ours. And then that was now where the second journey was starting from. So as soon in Zimbabwe, there are charges that you need to pay. So on purchasing a property, a stand, or anything, if you are buying it from the developer, the process is slightly different. So ours then were told then, because the title deeds are still with the developer, the process was then to apply for the title deeds to go from the developer to the seller's name, and then they'll be automatically be transferred into our name. But even though the seller would not have a copy of the title deeds. So then the process then was, then we had to start the process of transferring this property into our name. At this stage, we haven't involved the lawyer, because we were quite scared of involving the lawyer, and we didn't even know whom to trust, to be fair. And then the developer said to us, they've got a lawyer that they ends for them. So they said they offer all their properties from all their stands that they sell. That is the lawyer that they use. And we thought it's better we'll use that lawyer, because if it's a lawyer that, if they are the lawyers that the developers are using, they must be genuine. So then they transferred everything, all the papers went in, and then before then we do that, then after we told the council that we are in the process of transferring this property to us, then we had to pay a 5% endowment charge to the council, which we paid at the Rowan House. At that point in my mind, I was starting to get sort of like a peace of mind, because you're thinking, is it this going to be a genuine sale, or is it this going to be like a scam? But then I'm thinking, but then we are having appropriate receipts from the council, and these receipts, we are not getting them because we've gone there, we know somebody who's told us to do this. We just went in there, and then we're told that we had to have a certificate. It was done, and then we're told to go to counter number 5 or counter number 6, and then it was signed, and then we're told this is the amount of endowment charge that you need to pay to the council. So then we went to the counter, and on that day, remember, we were racing against time, and on that day we were trying to get this endowment charge paid, because without the endowment charge you can't, without doing your due diligence checks. If you can't be on the land, find somebody whom you trust, who can be your eyes and ears. But for our case, we decided to do it ourselves. We went everywhere, did all the due diligence, our checks, because I thought it's better for us to pay the flight fees than to end up getting scammed for something that we didn't really need to. Even though it was expensive, it could have been, maybe that might be the same amount that we could have paid the lawyers, but we did it ourselves. But it's not everybody who does this. You've got to have a knowledge of how to do it. But my biggest advice in this video is to say, because I'm seeing a lot of videos at the moment where properties are being destroyed. Properties are being destroyed, or people are being sold, things that don't exist at all. Please do the due diligence checks. If there is nothing sitting within the council, please don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Your counsel is the best friend. And some of the sellers might refuse to go to the council, but go and check for yourselves. Also, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions on how, or if you want any more information on how to go about it, please write in the comment section. And also, if you've gone through a different process or the same process, for everybody else who watches this video on this platform to know, please just write your pros and cons in the comment section. How did you manage to go about it? And the same doesn't, and this doesn't apply to only people living abroad. Even you are living in Zimbabwe, please do your due diligence checks, because check, I'm about to purchase this infill. Is it okay? Is it registered that it's going to be a land? You might end up buying where there's going to be a school in the future, and then they come and demolish, and you wonder what's happening. So please, I know we want, by all means, everybody will be very happy to own a property. Nobody's going to deny that, but please, let's do our due diligence. Check before you part with your money. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to then explain the whole process, because I don't want this video to be too long. So in the next video is going to be then, and thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.